Hello, folks. Today I wanted to go over an idea that I was deciding to work on, and it's about building a gradebook that would allow me to email parents a progress report every once in a while. So let me show you how I am going to want to do this. First of all, let me rename this empty spreadsheet as progress reports. And what we're going to need to do is, first of all, let's start off by putting my name in cell A1. We're going to need to use that. And then what I wanted to do is have a set of data that my different subject areas, and also in column A, I want this set up so that if I put a check mark in column A, it would only email those rows to those people. So I'd be able to just email a certain number of parents. And then in column B, I'm going to want to have my script type in the date when I last did it. And we're going to do this by creating a Google Doc and take the data that's on my sheet and merge it onto the Google Doc, and then email that Google Doc. We'll save that Google Doc in a Google Drive folder, but email a PDF copy of that. So let me, to save time, go ahead and paste in the data that I have on the my header row. So this is what I mean. I'm going to have a set of checkbox, and I'll go ahead and insert those. I'll just put in 24 of those. We're going to insert a checkbox in those, okay? And then in mail sent, doc link, the script's going to fill those in for us. And here we'll need to put in some student names. Let me go ahead and just go ahead and grab a little bit of data here. Go ahead and copy this, and I'll go ahead and put my data, just a couple students just for testing. And then in this set of in this column, I want this to be a data validation where I'm going to add a new rule, G3 through G30, and it's going to be is a valid date. And I'm going to say done. The reason I do that is now I can double click and get a pop-up calendar so that we can put in the date. And then, as we saw, we're going to have some information on some different subject areas, and maybe this is just going to be the kind of grade book where we're using a rubric from say 1 to 5 on how students are doing, and then we'll have a field for comments. Okay, so what I want to do now, next step, is to create a Google Doc. And what we're going to do is rename this doc as my template. So let's go ahead and rename this. We'll call it template. And then what I'd like to do is insert, because I want this to have an image. Let me go to one of my logos here. I've got this image right here. So we'll go ahead and okay. So we're going to put an image in the top of this, and we'll go ahead. And what we need to do is on these in this template, we need to put in a set of data that is using the same headers that I have here, these headers. So I'm going to end up wanting to use my student name, parent email. So I need to have these headers. So let me just save time. I'm going to go ahead and copy one of these I've got pre-formatted, and we'll come in here and I'll go ahead and paste. So what we're going to do is we're using the curly brackets as the identifier to merge the data from the sheet. So here we're going to do the teacher class, the date, the student name, and then the scores they have for math, reading, writing, social studies, so forth and so on. any comments that you might have, and then a thank you from the teacher. Okay, so we have set up a sheet, and in this case, I think I'll go ahead and rename this sheet. Yeah, let's rename this particular sheet. We're going to use this later, so we'll call this progress report. And that should do it. So our next step is to actually go ahead and get the script that we're going to need. And rather than typing this out, I'm going to go ahead and grab the script I've already worked on. Let me open up AppScript for this project. And we'll go ahead and call this, we'll call this project Mail Grades. And we don't need the N, so Mail Grades. We're going to call it that. And we would do a Command A here, get rid of the previous function, and let's take a look at what we're going to put in there. I am going to want a non-open function, and let me pop that in there real quick. We're going to want to use this to go ahead and run this one and end up getting some getting a new menu where we can run these things from our sheet. So that's the first step we're going to do. And then our next function is going to be to update a Google Doc from a sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this and bring it in and paste it just to save time. So what we're doing in this script is we're getting the active sheet, we're getting the data range, and we're getting the data values. Now we need a template doc ID. Now what I'm showing you here is copying in from another source, so what I need to do is get my template doc ID from this document I just created. So that's everything after the D/ and before the /edit. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I need to replace what was in this previous example with the correct template ID, which again is there. And then also we're going to be saving, going to go ahead and refresh this. We're going to be saving in a folder inside of here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder in here. And this new folder I'm going to call mailed docs. And I'm going to save that in there. I'm going to grab its ID because that's where I'm going to want everything to be saved. So I'll go ahead and copy that. And again, coming back to my script, we are pasting in a different folder ID than what had been in there. Okay, great. So, and then we're using the teacher name because we're going to need that when we send mail. So we're getting the teacher name from cell A1. And then the headers are the data. The data is all the values. And the headers is data row, well, it's really row 2 because it starts at 0. So when you look here, this is actually row 2. And in this syntax, it's 1 because the row started 0. So we're going to grab that. That's our headers. That's our data. And then we're going to loop through that data. And for each one of those, we're going to run another function. And that's this function here, create doc from template. And then when it's finished, I'm going to want to uncheck the checkbox because remember we're going to run this data. If column A is checked, then we're going to run the script. So let's get that last script, that next script that we need, and I'll go ahead and copy that and drag it over. And let's take a look at these additional scripts. So in this script, we're calling the create doc from template and send email. So that's this script here. And we're using the template doc ID, the folder ID, the headers, the row data, the teacher name, and the row index. It's all going to be functions that we're carrying forward from this first function. So the template doc is we're going to open up the Google Doc that we've created, this here, we're going to open it by its ID, which we've already identified. And the folder that it's going to be stored into is going to be opened up with this folder ID. So the doc name is going to be row data 3. And if we take a look here, the row data is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be our student name. And then the new doc, we're going to take that template doc, which we've identified, make a copy, give it a name, and put it in this folder. That is what this script here does. And then we're going to get the ID of that new doc. And now we're going to replace replace placeholders in the doc. That's running a different script down here. And that's going to use the new doc ID, the headers, the row data, and the teacher name. And then we're going to convert this PDF, or we're going to convert the document to PDF and send email with the PDF. So that's going to be another script that's going to run. We're going to get the URL of that new document, and we're going to get the active sheet. We're going to get a new date and place it in this column. That's when this was sent. And then we're going to get the sheet and get the doc URL, and we're going to paste the doc URL here. So we'll have a link to it. So, and we called another script here, the send email with PDF. Well, we did the replace the placeholder. So what happens in replace placeholders is we open the doc, we replace the text teacher with the teacher name, and then we take the data that we have and we look through all the data where we have the headers, and we find any place on our document that has one of those headers identified, and we paste in the data. And what we wanted to do with this date, I wanted to get the date in a format month, day, year. Otherwise, it was pasting in with a time. I didn't want that. So we added in this. We're formatting that date. And then we're replacing all of the text in this, the body of this document, with the substitutes where we have those script headers. And then finally, we're going to email this PDF with the row headers. The student name is row data 3, parent is 4, 5 when you look here. Again, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go ahead and you can see how we're going to send in the subject a progress report for this student, and that's what we're going to end up with. Going to send that email with a copy of this created document. So let's go ahead and save this script. And the very first time we need to run it, we're going to have to authorize this script. So let's first run the onOpen script. I'm going to go ahead and run that, and you're going to notice we're going to be asked to authorize the first time we're running this script. And it's taking a moment to authorize. Here we go. We're going to authorize, and I'm going to authorize it with myself. It's going to, it needs to have these authorizations: create drive files in Drive, create my Google Docs, edit my sheets, and send email as you. I'm going to allow all those things. I wrote the script, so I know that's safe. And all I ran right now is the onOpen script, and what that's done is created my two different scripts that I can run. One is to create these new docs. Now I don't have any information in here yet, so let's go ahead and put a date in for this, and let's just do some data, and go. I'm just going to copy that down to save time, and I'm going to put in comments. John is doing well, and Susan needs work, or whatever. Your comments would obviously be something about it. Okay, I think we have everything in place. We have authorized the script. let's give it a run. Let's see what happens. So I want to send an email to both parents in this case, which is me. And you know what? The other thing I would like to do is I don't really need all these extra columns, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them. And I don't really need any of these extra rows. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them because there's 1,000 rows in here. So now I have a much simpler sheet here. I might also decide to do some other things with this, eventually freeze the rows. I might decide to do something like this. I might want that to be bigger and so forth, things like that. And then my comments might be a little bit wider, something like that. So I think I'm ready to roll. Let's see what happens. I'm going to run my create doc script. And if we did everything correctly, we should be good to go. It does appear like it's running. I'm not getting errors. And what we should see here is a date when we sent the email, and we should see a doc link. Yep, there we are, looking good. So let's take a look at this. Here's a link to the document, and sure enough, we have a document that we've just created with the date, student name, what they have here, and the comments, thank you, Mr. Welch. And we also have another document here for Susan Roth, and that has also been emailed. So let's take a look at that. I would have to open up my email. We'll go ahead and open that up, and I should have a couple of emails in here. Maybe I've got an issue with that. I don't see them. We may need to double check that. So in checking on that, indeed, I had used a different email address to send that. So let's take a look and see what the email looks like. And sure enough, we get an email to Tim Welch. That's the mother's name. Here's your progress report for Susan, and of course a PDF. And it looks like it's taking a moment for that. Generally, those would open up, and once in a while it takes a moment before those will actually allow you to open. Let's see if maybe this John Tyler one will. There we go. And you can see they can open and just see the PDF. So that's really all working the way we would like. So notice also, and let me just go ahead and change this to my email. So if we test this again, there we go. Then I'll actually get the email instead of this other address. So notice the check mark is now gone, but I've sent this to on June 18th, and we have this link to the docs. So that's doing exactly what I want. But if I was going to be using this in a real setting, what I might want to do is be able to create a backup of what this looks like now. Then I could erase this data out of here, and in fact even extend this off, and these scores could be a calculation from a more sophisticated gradebook that we have, and this is just sort of a summary page I'm using to email parents. So let's see what we could do. I want to add a backup function, and let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to add a new script, and I'm going to call it backup, and Command A to get rid of that, and I'm going to paste in this backup script I have. So what this is going to do is it's going to take my active sheet. I'm going to look for the progress report sheet. I need a date because I want to actually use a date in here. So I'm going to get a new date, a function constant called date, and formatting it like this. And then we want to name the sheet that we're creating. The backup sheet is actually going to be named date. And then if you've already run the script one time, you would get an error because you can only have a sheet named one sheet with a name. So I've added in this line here. If that backup for today already exists, you're going to get an error. Well, you're going to get a message that says a backup already exists. What we're going to do is get the data from the backup sheet. We're going to insert a backup sheet. We're going to set the frozen rows, and then we're going to go to the source sheet, which we've identified the source sheet as progress report. We're going to grab all of the data starting on row 2, column 2, because I don't want the check boxes and I don't want the Mr. Welch row. And I'm going to grab that data, and then we're going to copy that to starting at row 1, column 1. We're going to paste that data into this new backup sheet. And then I didn't really want to have the new backup sheet have a whole bunch of extra rows and columns. So we're getting rid of a bunch of extra rows and columns, and then we're going to reformat this new sheet once we get the information in there. So let me go ahead and save that. And again, I've already authorized my script, so I should be able to run my backup data from here. And sure enough, there we go. It's created a backup of that data, and now it's formatting it and setting my rows and columns right the way I want it. Great. I have a backup now, so I could come in through here and delete out these grades and be ready to do another report at another time with some updated grades, and I would have a record of these dates right in here. Now, if you take a look at this, we have also I have the date here of year, month, day. If I run the backup again, backup for today already exists, and that is this line of code in here where we're saying if you already have a sheet with that name. So anyway, in summary, I have created a template document. I've created a sheet with grades, and let's go ahead and fix this. Let's just see if I reformat some of this stuff like this, and I would maybe want these to be centered. So let's go ahead and do that. The rest of that, I'm liking the way it looks. Let me go ahead and delete this just to show you, and let's go ahead and run that again. And now we're getting a new data sheet, and as it goes through, it's going to reformat and give me the size of columns and everything that I would want. And there we go. And well, it didn't bring in the I have to add a line in there to make sure that this ends up being centered and so forth. Anyway, folks, that's in 20 minutes here we have created a real simple gradebook, a template, and a set of scripts, two sets of scripts here that will make a copy of the data that's here, merge it onto this, and email your parents with that update. You could format this template doc however you like. It could have a bunch more information and other pieces of information in it. Thanks for watching.